TV, your one-stop TV space for conversations around nature, societal issues, education, business, and innovation. EIN TV, educative, innovative, and nature-centric.
Hello, viewers. Good evening to you from your on TV. I would like to give you a little background of time. And of course, we host guests from different time zone on this channel and especially on this show. And again, due to the seasons and of course the nature of the persons we bring to the program, we do not have to be so rigid with time, and that's why we can come your way anytime. And based on events again, because we can give you live feed from wherever location we find ourselves, and that's why we are not so time rigid, but we have to be as flexible as much as possible. Don't forget the fact that the time dynamic, and we have to follow suit as human. This is environmental resort on here in TV. And once again, my name is Eddie Onseng in Ndunobo. So today on the show, I have someone very fantastic, and there's something when I in the course of my interaction with young people across the space, particularly on the in the environment space, this challenge seems to be universal, but it's more common among young people who happen to find themselves as climate change advocates and the people into the development space with regards to the environment. And what is that thing? It is financing. We have young people all over the world who are so enthusiastic about fighting climate change and how they could contribute their quota to see that we have a sustainable world for all of us to live in. But when it comes to the issue of finance, there seems to be a who is young too and knows the way without. In our perspective, but about the environment.
Hi, Mr. Edion.
We tend to be having a little glitch here, bringing in our guest, but do not panic. We will definitely bring him on. Uh, we will definitely bring him on. So please do not fret and do not fret. So we're bringing in on. Okay, right. Beautiful. Beautiful is here. So I was about to introduce her as our guest before we had that technical issues. His name is Yazid Mikail, if I get that right. Mr. Yazid, you're welcome to Environmental Resort on EIN TV.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Edion. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, I understand you're fasting and you're not quite long. You had to break your fast and then you still had to spare us the time to be on the show. We do not take that for granted. We sincerely appreciate you and thank you. How is Kaduna today? Hello, Yasid. Can you hear me? It appears a poor network happens to be giving us a little challenge or glitches from Yasid's end. But that notwithstanding, we'll still be having this conversation. Trust-based funding for eco-restoration opportunities for young environmentalists. And Mr. Yasid will be sharing thought with us on this very important, subject matter. And a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Yazid was in Mr. Yazid was in Kenya, and I believe one of the things that took him to Kenya was this particular, subject matter. Mr. Yazid, can you hear me? Hello, Yazid. It appears there's been a bit of
Mr. Ed Young, I can't seem to hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Yazid. Can you hear me? Hello, Yazid. So we are having a little challenge with internet service. I do not know in a country where we're talking about cashless policy and all of those, and network, internet network providers do not have access to even cities to have stable network. I don't know, but then we are good and we are good. We are Nigerians and we are coping. So, like I was sharing before, Yesid tried coming back on board. I I was talking about his recent trip to Kenya, where I understand that he was on this particular subject matter that he went. And on that note, I know he has a couple of things, perhaps something very tangible to share with us on this subject matter. Trust-based funding for eco-restoration opportunities for young environmentalists, and that is what we'll be, talking about today. But let me ask you, what do you understand by trust-based funding? Before Yasid will want to come on here to share his thought. What do you understand by trust-based funding? And as a young person, what has been the most or the major challenge to you advancing in your advocacies, in your engagement, in your project towards restoring or ecosystem restoration, and of course, seeing the already damaged ecosystem. What has been the most challenge? So we appreciate if you can, share your thought, and then from there we could just see bring them on here and perhaps share with everyone, so that we know how to, see how we could, together share thoughts on this subject matter. It's actually very important, to talk about this particular topic so that we know how to confront it headlong. Our guest for tonight, Mr. Yasid, is still, struggling with his internet service, but I know that for sure he's going to come on board because so we could have this conversation. Yeah, Yasid, welcome back. Hello, Yasid. Hello, Yasid. Can you hear me?
Hi, Mr. Ed Young. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I've been waiting for you on almost all night long. But
Yeah,
good,
but I
you're back.
cannot seem to hear you. Your voice.
If you can hear me now, can you just give me a thumbs up? If you can hear me, do me a thumbs up.
I think it's from my end.
If you can hear me, do me a thumbs up, Yazid, so we can continue.
Oh, voice.
Hello, Yazid. Hello, Yazid. Can you hear me? Wow. Hello, Yazid. We just must have this conversation, and time is not really on our side. Wow. Hello, Yazid. Can you hear me? Okay, so we are still struggling with our guest, Mr. Yazid. I hope network will be kind with at this end so that we have this conversation. Okay, let me see how I can bring him on once again, and then if not possible, we'll see how to start this conversation all over. Mr. Yazid, if you can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up? All right, perfect. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely apologize for the glitches and of course the trouble we had to put you through during this conversation tonight. Mr. Yasid is a youth advisor for Iris Project, and he's going to be talking to us on trust-based funding in eco restoration and the opportunities that are there for young environmentalists. Mr. Yasid, so you will have the next 10 minutes, to give us the best for this conversation before we proceed. And then I know that our guest will be waiting to, ask a series of questions, and perhaps I'll be sharing, asking you questions from my end. So the next 10 minutes, Mr. Yasid, you have the floor to give the best for this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edion, for the opportunity to be live with you today and to be talking on trust-based funding, a topic I'm so much interested in, especially when it concerns young people, and it's related to my work as the Iris Project Advisor. To begin with, my name is Yazid Mikail, as Mr. Edium must have put it earlier on. I'm from Nigeria and I'm a youth advocate, and I work with the Iris Project. To put simply, what we do at the Iris Project is we support young people's project through a trust-based funding process, which I'm going to be talking more about today. And we provide them with funding and mentorship to ensure that they sustainably implement their project. So quickly, in this first 10 minutes we're going to be talking about trust-based funding, what it is, and why is it so important for eco restoration project, and what are the opportunities there for young people, which is key. Now, quickly, we must have we're used to this conventional or traditional, as I would like to put it, way of funding. So today I'm going to be talking about the differences and what are the opportunities there for trust-based funding. And I'm going to also be sharing some best practices so that organizations who are using the traditional model of funding young people can learn from it and also maybe adjust how they fund young people to maybe try to see how they can include or integrate this trust-based funding approach to how they support young people's project. And now, quick, why is it so important? This is because trust-based funding is a kind of funding process that is flexible and it opens door for collaboration. So to put simply, what trust-based funding is it offers a more flexible and collaborative approach to funding environmental projects. Traditional grant making often involves a top-down approach where funders dictate the terms and conditions of the grants, and the recipient must comply with those requirements in order to receive funding. This is what we're so used to in the traditional way of funding. You get funding from an organization, and there are bureaucracy, and there are things you have to do and what you must not do. But in trust-based funding, it is so important because it is flexible and it opens door for collaboration, such that a grantee can use their innovation to further create solution on how to better implement their project. In contrast, trust-based funding emphasizes building relationship between funders and grantees based on trust, transparency, and open communication. This approach allows for more collaboration and partnership between the funders and the grantee, resulting in a better understanding of the needs and challenges of the project. Trust-based funding also provides more flexibility for grantees to adjust their project goals and strategy as needed, which is especially important in the constantly evolving field of ecosystem restoration. Furthermore, Trust-based funding recognizes the expertise and knowledge of grantees and support their vision for the project. This empowers grantees to be more innovative and creative in their project approach to eco-restoration project they are implementing, and allows for a greater potential of success. This is in essence what trust-based funding means and why it is so important. And from what I said, you can see the difference between trust-based funding and traditional way of funding. So what is this benefit of trust-based funding to ecosystem restoration? Before we talk about the advantages and opportunities for young people, now let's talk about its benefit. Now, trust-based funding offers several benefit for ecosystem restoration projects, especially as it relates to young people, which include collaboration and partnership. In a world where we have continuous impact of climate change, ranging from affecting people from rural, urban communities. But most importantly, people living in rural and urban communities are adversely affected. And when you're thinking about solution or creating an ecosystem restoration project to solve a problem in a rural communities, probably the young people or whoever is doing the project is not used to all this complex, or is not used to or does not have enough so much knowledge to adapt to the complex complexity of the traditional way of funding. And the best way to fund that project, no matter how good it is by using the trust-based method of funding. So one of the benefits to eco-restoration is collaboration and partnership. By building relationship based on trust, funders and grantees can work together more collaboratively and develop a shared understanding of the needs and challenge of the project. We've implemented this and we've seen how it has also helped our grantees in implementing their project successfully, which I will talk about in the best practice. Another advantage of or benefit of trust-based funding to ecosystem restoration is its flexibility. Trust-based funding allows grantees to adjust their project goals and strategy as needed, which is particularly important in the constantly evolving ecosystem restoration field. Another point is empowerment. Um, a benefit of trust-based funding for ecosystem restoration is empowerment. Trust-based funding recognizes the expertise and knowledge of grantees, just like I said earlier, and support their vision in for the project, empowering them to be more innovative and creative in the approach of the ecosystem restoration project. So, what we do at the Iris project when it comes to collaboration and partnership, being flexible, empowerment, inclusivity, which are all the benefits of eco trust-based funding for ecosystem restoration, is when we give a grantee a funding, we trust them so much that we believe they have all the knowledge it takes to implement the project because they know the project better. And just like I said in the definition of what trust-based funding is, one that puts in its heart building a stronger relationship, a healthy relationship between the grantee and the funders, and ensuring open communication between them. With a trust, we're able to give our funders a flexible environment where they can think and be innovative around how they implement their project. And because we give them funding and mentorship opportunity, which talks about the empowerment benefit of trust-based funding to ecosystem restoration, we empower them, equip them with the tools they need to work effectively with the funding in a trust-based way. Now, example of success story. Let me talk about the Iris project a little bit here. Iris project has Iris Prize, where every year they give three prize winners, which are young people, um, funding to implement their nature restoration, protection, and conservation project. This has ranged from the Iris to STEM and the Seed Prize, which involves people with new ideas and people who have ideas that are scalable and people who are already established and need more funding to continuously implement their project. This is these are different set of people we are funding, and mostly or they are young people, all of them ranging from with the age range of with a particular age range with a cap of 24, where we give them the funding to implement their project across the world. Every year we select three best application. This year I'm mentoring Steve, who is from Mombasa, Kenya, who is implementing a mangrove restoration project. How trust-based funding has helped Steve in implementing his project. Steve has a plan of planting over 10,000 mangroves by the end of this year, and we are mentoring Steve toward ensuring that he implements his project um, effectively. Through the trust based approach we're using, by trusting that Steve has the best knowledge and skills to implement his project, we're also able to support him by equipping them with skills and based on what they ask for, because they understand the project more and they know where they need more capacity building building on. So we're able to support Steve to effectively implement his project, and he's doing well now. We're just 4 months into the year and he's planted over 5,000 mangroves of the 10,000 he plans to plant by the end of the year. You can see how the trust-based approach has helped Steve in ensuring the sustainable implementation of his project, and by the end of the year we're optimistic that Steve is going to implement the project completely and create a sustainable pathway to ensure continuous growth of his project. And this was only possible through the trust-based approach. We are not restrictive, saying that, hey, because we are giving you money, Steve, you have to do this, you have to do this and that, and you must not do this and that. And this is what the traditional way of funding is used to. And there are no lot of bureaucracy, and we're able to build this relationship with Steve that he can always come to us, ask for advice, free with us, and that way we're able to keep track of the progress of the project, which is important to us as an organization to track our success as well. So this is what trust-based funding is. And what are the benefits for young people? Yes, young people are one of the are the forefront of the fight against climate change, and they're there in the community implementing different local initiatives. And one of the major challenges they are faced by is lack of funding. And even if the fundings are available, the restriction and bureaucracy are so much that young people cannot easily adapt to it, and that way it discourages them from applying for such kind of grants and other things. But with a trust-based approach, young people are able to access more funding, implement more projects, and these are the opportunities that are there for young people. They're able to think innovatively even when they have idea. Sometimes you have an idea and something will come in, even in the project management line, then you think of doing something. And if you're used to the traditional, or you get funding from an organization that operates under the traditional way of funding, it will be very difficult for you to think outside what you had agreed with them. But if they are being given the funding in a trust based way, trusting them that they can implement the project effectively because they have all the knowledge it's required, they can be innovative, create different
Mm.
solution to how they can implement the project. So, how can young people apply for this project? There are a couple of organizations that are giving young people funding based on trust-based funding approach, and the Iris project is one of them. And we're currently accepting application for the 2023 prize. And if you're a young person within the age range, you can quickly go and apply for the I'll share the link with Mr. Ed Young so that he can add it at maybe at the comment section so that young people can access it. Check the eligibility and apply. But before you apply, what are the things you need to consider? Yes, we are encouraging organizations to support young people in a trust-based way. But then, as a young person, you really need to understand what are the things involved, right? Before you go to apply for any project, you really need to understand what the organization is interested in and what your project is also interested in. If there is alignment, then there is potential that if you apply, you can get selected. And
Mm.
aside from that, you need to also understand in depth your project. What is the project you are implementing, and how does it address the problem in your community? How does it improve people's livelihood? and how does it solve or address the climate change issue in your community. You have different issues. There are places where you see flooding, some it's a different case. So how does it solve your problem, and how innovative are you, and how much do you understand the problem you're
All
solving?
right.
So if you have all those understanding, it will be way easier for you to um apply for funding, especially for trust-based way, because things we consider is to really know that how much can we trust this person, and once we are able to trust you through your application, which is the only way we can get to know you and your project, and that depends on the quality of the application you put in, which you also need to work so hard on, work with anyone everyone on your team to ensure that you put through the best application you can. And if you get selected, before you know, you're going to implement your project sustainably. And because the trust-based funding is flexible, has built is built based on relationship and open communication, if you're able to also keep all that in check, you're going to really your project and you as a young person will flourish and create a profile for yourself that even getting funding from organizations that are operating based on the traditional way of funding will be easier. And if you've already created that platform and profile for yourself, that people can begin to trust you, even the traditional funders might at some point bend their rules for you because they trust
Mm.
that you believe deliver. So as it also has it in the name trust based, you have to be trusted, and they also have to trust you. So I'd stop here so that
All right.
Mr. Edion can ask me question and I would respond, and I'm very sure in the process more information would come out. Thank you so much, Mr. Edion.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Mr. Yasid. The key word there is trust. I wish I had framed the topic of this conversation to just be trust, and every other thing would have been taken care of. I so appreciate what you guys are doing at the Iris project, and then how you're supporting young people, and the things you do even off camera. Thank you so very much to you and the team. But there are concerns, because a lot of you, before they get to be aware of what is happening, and maybe by the time they started, they were not knowledgeable enough to apply for some things, to push for some things, and there is something that happens to be a problem: the age cap on every opportunities that comes. And you mentioned the age cap on the Iris project application process. Can you restate that, and then if it's at what age one can apply, and just talk about the age cap stuff, and if there's any possibility. Why I'm asking this question is the possibility of you removing the cap. We have conventions, we have international treaties that that push the young people's age to but think about 35, some 40 or thereabout. So why is yours at that, and is there anything that can be done, sir?
Thank you so much. And that has been a question we've had to answer in a lot of places. But I think before even beginning to answer that question, for every funding, or let me put it this way, for every program, there is or there are reasons for creating the program itself. So the whole idea behind the Iris project is because of the funding, or the program is created in memory of Iris. And Iris, she is an environmentalist who cares so much about the nature and nature restoration. And unfortunately, we lost her a few years back at a very young age. So her parent and other people think there is because of her passion and to keep remembering her because of how much she had worked towards protecting nature. Let's bring something such that will make her impact to even go beyond beyond what she has done when she is alive, because this is practically what she would be doing if she was alive. So she is so young, and because she is young, we think the best way to remember her is to have that age range of the program we are creating in her memory to be in a very reasonable age range that she also falls in. And that's why we are making for the seed, someone within the age range of 14 to 24 can apply. While for the that's for the seed, and for the stem, you have to be 16 to 24 and 16 to 24 also for the iris price. And the seed is 5,000 USD, and for the price for the stem is also 10,000, while the iris price is 15. And that's not just it. There is for every prize winner there is a capacity building program worth of 10,000 USD for them. And also this year we're also trying to support people who are runner up, which we didn't do the first year we start the project. And this is like improvement. So this is the idea behind the age gap, and we've also had to answer it. But then for every program we need to understand that there is a reason, and there are reasons for creating them, and this
Okay.
is why we are putting the age range in this range. Yeah.
I think that answers that question, and may God rest her soul. I and that actually, gives further credence to the age limit to the qualification criteria for the Iris project. And of course, I this is environmental resort on EINT. My name is Young Environmentalists, and today we've been having a fantastic gentleman, Yazid Mikail. Yazid Mikail is a youth advisor for the Iris project. He's based in Kaduna, Nigeria. And of course, the young environmentalist, a climate activist, an advocate, of course, in his own right. And today he's sharing thought on uh, trust-based funding for eco-restoration project, and of course the opportunities that are there for young environmentalists. And there's a particular project he's sharing his thoughts this evening with us, and that is the Iris project. Where he is the youth advisor, and then he said that the application is ongoing, right? The application is ongoing, and subsequently, following this conversation, I will be sharing the link to you for you to apply to, get accepted. Which of course I wish all of you that will be applying through this program will get accepted. And of course, do not forget it. The price is just for about 3 persons, but that shouldn't stop you from applying. And do not forget the age gap limit. Rather, it's one is from 14 to 24. The other two, which is the STEM and the Irish prize, is from 16 to 24. Now,
Yes.
Mr. Yesi, let's get back to something very crucial. Recently, there's been something very worrisome coming out from the state of Ondo, and then the community called Agetoro, and it's quite devastating. Do you think that there are opportunities there for young people, to key in to see that they can be a part of what is happening with the funding or the project you're doing at the Irish project?
Good. So thanks for asking this question. Also, I would like to add to the previous question I asked, because the age range has been a major challenge for what, just like people would always say. So there are different ways an organization can apply. Within an organization, there are young people that volunteer with them. They can they can they can the young person that works with them, they can guide him towards applying, and you can submit
Okay.
the application as an organization and as an individual. If you're submitting as an organization, the main contact point has to be someone within that age range.
Age range. Oh wow.
Good. So one of the priority is to ensure that the project in itself is being led and implemented by young people and has full young people engagement in the whole of the project. And that's the whole idea of the project. So talking
Uh,
about the devastating problem in Ayutthaya currently, the different ways young people can apply or can chip in to take action. So there are young people living in the community currently, and there are people that lives around the community, or people who are so passionately about what is currently going on. We can think of different innovative way of addressing this solution. And if you are one of the young people living in the community or passionate about the problem, and you are between the age range of applying for the IRIS prize, you can submit application. And if you are not within the age range, and because the problem
Okay, it appears that there's poor signal from Yazid's end. The moment it comes on
is
board, we will do.
a very
Okay,
important problem you have to solve. You want to say something?
please go on.
Good. So what I was saying is, you can if you're between the age range, you can apply for the IRIS project, and if you're not, there are tons of opportunities out there you can apply for that does similar thing and that support people above that age range that we do
Okay.
for the IRIS project. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So, talking about the Yetero community in Ondo State, there has been a serious flood where the there's a break in the riverbank, and the entire community, or at most half of it, has been swallowed up by water. There's been loss of life and livelihood, and houses are destroyed. And of course, you should understand what it means by people that have their settlement around the river or perhaps the ocean, and that is to say it's a business hub. We have fisher folks, and then we have people that are their trade, their means of survival, their livelihoods actually depends on the water. And so imagine a community such as that being engulfed with water, and most of these things happens unannounced. And what would have happened? And again, not just the immediate community of Ayetro that will be affected. Imagine the people of Ondo now, whose source of fish perhaps comes only from that community, or perhaps from that axis. What would happen? So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you're doing, please spare some time to pray for the people of Ayetoro. And the government, we want to call on you, the government of Ondo State, and of course the Federal Ministry of Environment. Please do whatever you can within your capacity. Please activate all the agencies you have that can take action with regards to this, to go to the rescue of the people of our Yetoro community in Ondo State. And then from all of us at ANTV, our heart, actually goes out to all of you, and we must do our best to, make sure that we talk about it to see that a rescue or respite comes your way. Okay, so back to you, Mr. Yasid. Before you share your final thought on the conversation today, let's bring down this conversation to Nigeria. I don't know if you've had Nigerian win the funding, or the trust based funding before, and if not, what should we do differently as young people? And by young people, I mean the people that are within the age range of winning the Iris Project prize and everything that has to do with it. And of course, as young people, by the UN standard of definition of who a young person is, what do we need to do differently? Because I know we have a lot of young people in Nigeria who are quite passionate towards ecosystem restoration. Okay, it appears that Signal has kicked Mr. Yasid away from the convention. So we're talking about trust-based funding, for ecosystem restoration, and of course the opportunities for young people. And we had as our guest Mr. Yazid Mikail. Mr. Yazid is the youth advisor for the Irish project. So he has shared a couple of things, and if you did not join this conversation from the very beginning, I would advise you get to watch the video once we share them. And for whatever platform you are, whether you're on Facebook, you are very free to watch live on ANTV, and then on YouTube at ANTV, and then we are live on LinkedIn too. So whatever platform you may be, we are there with you to make sure that we bring the best of resources to you, so long environment is concerned. So today we will be calling it a short, but before we do that, I would like you to reflect on this. Imagine you're from the community we just finished talking about, Ayetoro, in Ondo State. What would you do? Okay, let's forget the fact that you'll be from there, or let's just let go the thought that you're from there. Imagine you have someone very dear to you from that community, and the place is being submerged in water. What would you do? Okay, you're like, God forbid, I wouldn't even want to, that to happen. That would not even happen. God forbid and God forbid. The people of Ayetoro must have said even more than what you're saying right now. Plenty of God forbid, but it happened. And that is why we must, as a people, whether you are young or you are old, but particularly for us, the young people, we must take action. So when you see people talk about, climate action, when you see people, raising awareness, when you see people doing things that you feel ordinarily are dirty, you should join them instead of making a mockery of them, instead of, of being an onlooker. You should contribute your quota. The fight against climate change is a fight for all. Because if we must live in this space harmoniously with nature, we must, as a people, contribute our quota consciously to see that we have a safe environment for everyone. And again, every parent will want to bequeath something to the children. And I ask you, when you grow old and your time is near for you to pass on, what kind of environment would you bequeath to the next generation? The more reason you should be worried, the more reason you should, show concern, the more reason you should take action. So I'm telling you right now, you shouldn't just wait. By the way you dispose of your waste, you are taking action or you are contributing to what we are facing globally. So you should be conscious. By going to that shop, to buy something, and you're go it's something you would have purchased and go with it, with your, or even going with your shopper's bag. You have a permanent bag at home. Whenever you want to go and buy things, you go with it, buy and take them with that bag with you back home, instead of patronizing, the production of more nylons, more plastic bags that will end up in, landfills, some in the ocean, and they eventually end up in the fish we eat, and they pollute the water, they pollute the environment, and everything in the end comes back to us, damaging our health. So you see, what you do and feel it just goes into the environment does not just end with the environment. It comes back to us. And that is why we must take action. And when you take the right action, people are watching. And even if people are not watching, when you document your action, that is how you, and one of such ways, your organization can win, whatever funding you want to execute your project, and make sure you're contributing your quota to see that we have a sustainable, environment for everyone and even for the next generation. We are more worried. Personally, I'm worried, and all of us at ANT, we are worried of what will happen next if we as a people do not take responsibility. So we today on the program has been quite fantastic. Though we had a couple of issues with the network providers, and they eventually kicked out our guest for today. Oh, he's back, and then I will be bringing him back so that he will share his final thought on the conversation for today, before we call it a wrap for tonight. So, Mr. Yasid, you're welcome back to the show, Mr. Yasid. At this point, because of time and the want of it, I would just like you to, share your thought, your final thought, and then give your what I would take your parting words on this particular topic of conversation.
So thank you so much for the opportunity once again. And it's so sad that the network has just been messing up with the whole conversation. But one thing I'd like to say before I go is trust-based funding is critical to supporting young people's project and to ensuring that their voices are heard, and they also implement all the great ideas they have to solve the problem the climate change impact has on their community. And we must trust them with whatsoever resources we're giving to them to implement their project, having in mind that they have the knowledge, the capacity, and the ability to implement the project because they know more than we do, maybe the funders do about the problem they are solving. And concerning the problem of Aisha, because it's a very complex problem, government is involved, transparency, and a lot of things. You know how complex things can be, especially in our country, Nigeria. And as I've read before, there was indication a couple of years ago, and there was allocation to doing something in that community, and nothing has been done. So what we can do as young people in our own way is to continuously talk about this, that mobilize resources to mobilize resources to support people who have their homes, they who lost their homes to the flooding, and to provide immediate support to help those people that do not have houses again or lost their properties, business. And we can do this by writing to organization, by going to the communities ourselves again. And flooding problem is a very big problem. It has health impact, it has a lot of mental health impact. We can, in our own capacity and the knowledge we have, go there, support them financially and maybe mentally to ensure that yes, their home, they've lost their homes, but their mental health is in check. So we
Hmm.
can do so many things as young people to provide support while we'll keep talking to government and speaking to the networks we have in the international development space, whom, when they talk to our government, can possibly hear or support our government in ensuring that they have enough resources in implementing this project. This is a very important issue, and currently, as you're saying, the video is devastating and the people in Aituru are devastated. Nobody will watch a video that was shared on the current situation of that community and not feel so terrible because of the inaction or what is currently going on. So that's what we can do as it relates to Aituru. And my call to action to funders who are using the traditional way of funding to support young people is to see how they can possibly integrate trust-based way of
Hmm.
funding to supporting young people's project. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I so much appreciate the opportunity to speak to young people, a fellow young people, and I do not take it for granted. Thank you, Mr. Ed Young. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Yazid, for being a part of the conversation today, and thank you for sparing us your time and, of course, your deep knowledge on trust-based funding today. And we hope to see you sometime in the next future, or maybe not very long, to have you come back share your thought with us again. Thank you so very much once again. Just nice having you on the show tonight. All right, so our guest for today was Mr. Yasid, and he has given his final thought on the conversation tonight being trust-based funding and the opportunity for young people. And of course, we the parting shot has been with the situation that is happening, on the things that are situation of things that is currently ongoing at Yetero or in a Yetero community in Ondo State, and it's quite devastating, if I to say the least. And we've had loss of life, properties, and all of those. And it's quite sad that you will discover that there was something allocated. There was, something to have been done to avert this happening. But again, like they will say, Nigeria happened. Some maybe someone do away with the project funds, perhaps looted it or something. And imagine what is happening today. And I would like to ask that fellow, I would like the people involved in that were involved in that project. If it was your mother, your father, or even your child that was in that community, would you still disappear with the project fund if you were funded to initiate a project in that community? We, most of the people, must first think as humans, and that is why the humanity in us would always want to come to surface, come to let's think about us first as human before we think about the position we occupy and the things we do. Let's be human, and once we are human to ourselves, you would find out that it will be very easy for us to live together as one, and it will be very easy for us to talk about loving one another and the rest of the things. And if we do not love ourselves, how do we as a people with so many churches around, talk about loving God. We have so many churches, so many mosques, so many religion, and of course, so many worshippers. Every Friday, every Sunday, every whatever day you go to worship, whatever it is you're worshiping. The message is love. We must love ourselves and we must love nature. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say a very big thank you to everyone that spared their time to be a part of this conversation today. At this point, when I remember the story and the things that are coming out from my head, or I get so emotional, and I getting on the way that I had to eat deeper into your time. So I sincerely apologize for taking much of your time for tonight. But thank you so very much for being a part of this conversation. Please do follow us on Twitter at TV_EN. And then on Facebook, we are here in TV. On YouTube, we are here in TV. Please follow us and make sure you click the like button, click the you can also keep a constant reminder on our page and then on our platform, so that whenever we bring on the resources for you or bring up the resources for you, you have the opportunity and the privilege to be among the first partakers. It's always rich, it's always educating, it's always innovative. And do not forget, environmental research is about nature. Thank you so very much. My name is Young Environmentalist, and this is Environmental Research on ANTV. Good night.
This is ENTV, your one-stop TV space for conversations around nature, societal issues, education, business, and innovation. ENTV, educative, innovative, and